This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at @BackupBradleyAbove at the top of the screen and everything that we're talking about here today. So an interview just came out a short time ago. Thank you to James Rule XRP for this one. Glen and James Hutchins. Now, if you don't know, Glen Hutchins is a huge venture capitalist among many, many other things in this space and throughout many, many different businesses. Let me just give you a quick overview here. Glen Hutchins is an investor in Digital Currency Group along with Barry Silbert. Digital Currency Group is also an investor in companies like Coinbase and Ripple. He is a huge venture capitalist. He invests in mostly the businesses behind crypto and blockchain. He has been the president of the New York Federal Reserve. He has been the president at AT&T. I'm not sure if he still is or not. He's been a huge part of the 5G movement and getting that done. He's also he's also been part owner of the Boston Celtics. I don't know if he still is or not, but shout out to him. And a whole bunch of other things. BlackRock, huge investment group, BlackRock, obviously. Let's hear, I'm going to play for you excerpts from this. James Hutchins is his son, who I didn't know he had, but it's very interesting to find out that James, his son, is big time in the cryptocurrency, like his dad's in the blockchain and the crypto and the companies behind those things. And James is really delving down into the cryptocurrency as well as the companies. And this all really points to like the private equity investment and things of that nature. And guys, I've told you guys about the company Link2. I've told you about them, and I absolutely love those guys. They're a great group of people. I encourage you to go over, get the free app, download that, register with them. You do have to be an accredited investor to buy stock, but follow them and be a part of this community, because what I'm showing you here is much like what your experience would be like if you're in a conversation or a conference or on one of the lunch and learns of that thing. Is hearing like what Glen Hutchins and James Hutchins are talking about is much like the conversations you will hear when you're in that Link2 community. So definitely join that community. Let's get to this interview. You're going to roll this intro, tell you a little bit about Glen Hutchins and James Hutchins, and they're going to get into it. We're going to do a 5-minute shot. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to take you to a new spot in the video, play that few minutes there, and then we'll wrap this thing. But really, really great insight from both of them. Let's check it out. Here we go.
And it has become one of the world's largest private equity firms investing in technology companies. It has invested in some of the biggest names in Silicon Valley, including Airbnb and Twitter. Hutchins serves on several boards and is a part owner of the Boston Celtics. He now runs North Island with his son James. It invests mainly in financial companies and the crypto space.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Sherwer, editor-in-chief of Yahoo Finance, and I'm joined by Glen Hutchins, chairman of North Island. He was a co-founder of Silver Lake and part owner of the Boston Celtics, and his son, James, who runs North Island Ventures. Gentlemen, great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Andy.
Hi, Andy. Thank you.
So, James, I have to start with you. I'm going to ask you, tell us how you guys work together and what's that like a little bit.
It's actually been one of the most amazing experiences of my life. Growing up, my dad was just my dad. He was my little league coach. He was the guy that I sat and watched sports with. I kind of knew off to the side that he was this respected member of the private equity community, but he didn't bring that home. So it's been really nice to kind of see him in a work setting. And, he's just a font of wisdom. He pulls on 30 years of experience investing just to help me and my partner, Travis, be better investors. And it's been really amazing experience so far.
Well, Glenn, that must make you feel pretty good. Some nice words there from your son. And talk about.
We can just stop right there, Andy.
Okay, we're done.
We're done.
It's all downhill from here. Is that what you're suggesting?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's must be nice to hear. talk a little bit more specifically about how you work together and what James is doing right now. We're pretty familiar, I guess, with your career, but tell us what James is up to.
Yeah, so first thing I would say, Andy, is this is not a family business. This is one of the early movers in the crypto venture capital space. James and his partner Travis both bring a very top shelf investing experience. James was head of research at Co2, which is the world's largest tech hedge fund, I think. Travis had been the head of investments for Digital Currency Group, which is one of the leading cryptocurrency companies where I sit on the board, and I'm a shareholder. And so the first thing this is that these are two of the best investors kind of in the space, independent of, in my view, kind of our family relationship. That's kind of point one. I think the second thing is that people need to understand is that James and Travis are the managing partners, and I'm just in the general partner. They're the ones really doing all the work and making the investments, doing the due diligence, working with the companies. And my role has largely been to do two things. One is to help them think about investments and particularly portfolio construction. And the second is to help turn these companies that we're investing in these projects that we're investing in into companies. The cryptocurrency world is at the time period in which you're going from building products to forming business models around products.
It's a very important point he's making right here in the maturation of the entire digital asset space. This is no longer just about the tokens. This is about building real companies with real products, real services, and real practical application of these assets. What he's telling you indirectly is that the new watermark for what is the measure out here in the cryptocurrency space is not going to be speculation. It's going to be use case application.
At the stage of its development. And unlike other investors in this space that have focused primarily on the coins and the tokens like Bitcoin or Ethereum or other things like that, we're overwhelmingly focused on building companies. And so that's my second contribution.
Hey, James, I'm curious about the back and forth between you guys when it comes to crypto. And, you know, I know your dad knows a lot about crypto. I mean, he was explaining it to me years ago. So at first, maybe the learnings came from him. But at this point, are you telling him stuff about crypto that he doesn't know?
Well, I mean, I'd say, we both collaborate. He brings this 30 years of investing in finance and technology. And I would say, I'm taking what he taught me about crypto and kind of expanding it. So we've taken his view of how this is the next great kind of payments technology. And we're thinking about how can you build new types of businesses, new types of online communities around that.
Real quick, he's telling you that it's about payments, right? What token, what companies have you seen from day one gear themselves in the market infrastructure in the long play based around payments? I think you know the answer.
So at the end of the day, we're kind of standing on his shoulders at all times, really.
So I came at this, Andy, as out of fintech. And when you and I probably first talked about this many years ago, my view was this was the place that we could transform the cost and convenience of payments, which is a still undisrupted part of the financial services economy, particularly credit cards, but also remittances, foreign exchange transactions, those sorts of things. What James has done together with Travis is really extend my understanding, first of all, that this technology can address anything of value, not just the conventional payments world. And second, that it actually points in the direction of a brand new computing paradigm, which is really transformative.
That's a massive statement, what he's talking about right there. And obviously, he's pointing to the understanding that anything of value can be tokenized and placed on a ledger. And that is the ultimate end goal, a brand new financial system for the whole world, hashtag the Internet of Value. Now, let me move this now, and I'm skipping the part where they change gears and they go to the economy, which I think we all understand where the economy is, and the lack of cohesion between the Congress to actually get it right and solve the problem, right? So let me get this back here to the right spot, and it's about 8 minutes or so. Let me see if I can get this right here. Okay, let's check. I may not have the perfect spot. Let me see.
Economic consequences that are manifest, and they're going to be long-term, and they need to be addressed.
There we go.
James, over to you. I want to ask you about crypto and the time of COVID. How has the pricing and the markets gone during this time? I mean, and it speaks to this larger issue of what is crypto and the world of crypto writ large correlated to? But why don't you take the first part of that first?
Sure. So like everything at the beginning of the pandemic in March, there was this risk off period where there was some large drawdowns and sell downs, both in the Bitcoin and Ethereum markets. However, as people started to realize that, cryptocurrencies are this global permissionless financial system where anyone can kind of access these markets, anyone can send money around the world, there was actually been a huge rebound. And actually, for the last 3 or 4 months, we've seen an enormous explosion in decentralized financial applications built on Ethereum. And so we've actually seen a huge boom time during the COVID crisis that people have started to understand the power of digitally native finance in a time of kind of lockdowns and everyone stuck inside.
And what do you think crypto, when will it sort of become a mass thing in terms of financial?
Now look at what he's asking here, and pay very close attention to what James says when he goes into this question here.
Financial services. So right now you keep saying it's sort of on the edges of things, and JP Morgan kind of says this, yep, we love crypto too, but we're not really, that's not mainstream for us. Talk to us about the future evolution of this world, if you will.
Sure, happy to. So we're starting to reach kind of mainstream adoption in the stable coin space. So stable coins are dollar-denominated crypto assets that live on these networks like Ethereum. And they allow anybody to kind of access the US dollar market. And this year, we're going to see about $800 billion of transactional value.
Buffering. Of course it's buffering. It'll come back here in a second. $800 billion in transactional value for stable coins. Is that not impressive, or is that not impressive? I mean, that is, to me, is mind-blowing. $800 billion in transactional value for stable coins. Let me refresh this really quickly and see if we can get this to play. It's only like 2 more minutes here, but again, I wanted to show this because Glen Hutchins and obviously James Hutchins as well in this space are really, really making an impact. And you don't see them shying away what's going on because of low prices in crypto, right? And obviously the market's starting to move right now, but they are not turned away by the pandemic. In fact, they've highlighted that they feel that, in fact, the pandemic has accelerated these things. That's a narrative that we've heard from Ripple as well. So let's see what else he says. And wait till you hear what he says outside of financial services, what he talks about as like places where he believes you will see the advantage of cryptocurrency take off.
Kind of access the US dollar market. And this year, we're going to see about $800 billion of transactional value in stablecoins, which is about 0.5% of kind of annual global transaction volumes. So I would say we're getting pretty close to kind of real usage at a large scale in stablecoins. And then the other place that we see kind of the beginnings of mass adoption is in crypto collectibles or video games. And so taking a step back, crypto networks are the first place where you can have provable digital ownership of items. For the first time, I can prove that I own a trading card, I own a piece of a video game, and companies like Flow are starting to build video games with large brands like the NBA, in this game called NBA Top Shot, where you can buy, sell, and trade NBA trading cards. And I think that might be the first place where we see kind of real mass adoption of kind of crypto.
So he's coming at it from, not only did they discuss the financial services aspect of this with cryptocurrency, but now he's coming from the gaming collectibles. Now you can see on an immutable ledger, and he goes on to talk about, and Glen Hutchins talks about too, that we're not talking about just traditional like baseball cards and basketball cards like they had back in the day. This would be like a video clip or image of your favorite player doing something amazing, and then their stats and all of that to go with it. And that asset would be collectible and immutable and recordable on something like Ethereum, for instance, right? As an example. So I saw this clip and I really just wanted to put this together as a little quick video to just really show everybody this is what the venture capitalists are doing in this space. I mean, they're gearing up and they see on many different fronts how cryptocurrency is going to make an impact, and not only an impact, but a transformation for the rest of time, just like the internet has. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Check the links in the description box and the comment section. You never know if there's something in there you may want or need. And definitely leave a comment below and share with somebody you know. I'll catch all of you on the next one.